Hey, thanks for dropping by to the Planners on Purpose podcast, created by Naomi Tucker, CMP. Now, this space is for the event planners to encourage and empower you so that you can fully live your life on purpose. So before we dig in, please take a moment to subscribe so you get future shows. Now, here she comes, your host, Naomi.
Well, hi everyone, this is Naomi. I hope you're doing well today. I know I am. I'm so delighted to be here for another episode on the podcast, and I just welcome you and I thank you for being here. To those that are new to me and here for the first time, welcome. Very happy to have you here. And to those of you that have been following me along the way, I'm so glad to see you again. Today, I wanted to talk about event planning beyond the finite and really embracing what's called an infinite mindset. And the inspiration for this episode is a book that I read by Sinek called The Infinite Game. It's a great book. I absolutely love Simon Sinek's work and was introduced to him a long time ago. I believe it was at an industry event, actually. MPI, Meeting Professionals International, has a big event every year that they do. It's called the World Education Congress. And this event, I believe it was in St. Louis. I don't know. Don't fact check me. But they had Simon Sinek there. He was there and he was talking all about his first book. I really enjoyed everything that he had to say. I think everyone was on the edge of their seats writing copious notes. And ever since then, I've been just all about his work. And every time he has a book, I always read it. So I've read The Infinite Game and I have been referencing it lately several times because it's just that good. And the case studies that are in the book are just really great. And I wanted to just share some of that with you because I feel like it is really important for us to just embrace an infinite mindset. To explain this better, I just want to put us in the context of a game. We are literally all playing this game. When we're born into this world, we're in this game of life, right? And we're all kind of born into it. And the difference between one player from the next is really how they're playing the game. And finite games, basically, they all know the players. In finite games, there are fixed rules. There are referees and people to enforce those rules. And there are these penalties for the rules that are broken. Now, infinite games are slightly different because they're played by like known and unknown players. There's not necessarily agreed upon rules. There might be some laws that govern the games, but typically we act in integrity when we're playing the games, but we can play it however we want and change how we play the game for any reason. Now, infinite games also have infinite time horizons. There's no finish line. There's no end to the game. There's no winning. The objective is to keep playing and to perpetuate the game. So when we think about that in the context of event profession or event planning, it's just important that we embrace this infinite mindset in this infinite game. Like when we have an infinite mindset, we can enjoy these higher levels of trust and cooperation and innovation, all because we are moving towards a greater cause and we're not necessarily have a fixed mindset and a finite mindset on just trying to get through the week. So when you look at your career and when you look at your company and where you are, the greater cause is really up to you. And you should ask yourself, what is the greater cause of what I'm doing? Is it purely just to get through the rest of the year? Is it purely just to get through this event? Because if it's just to get through a season, then you might be looking at playing a finite game. And if that's where you really want to be, then that's fine. But a finite game has limits. And at some point, with those limits in place, you'll be out of the game. So if the objective, I guess, on the other hand, is for us in the event profession to play an infinite game, then the cause that we do plan events maybe it's different. Maybe it's not just to plan this event for this client for this particular day. Maybe it's to create experiences that change lives, or perhaps it's to plan events efficiently with ease and minimal stress. Maybe it's to bring awareness to the event profession globally, because those are games that are infinite, and those are the ones that are worthy of us moving towards. So as event planners, it's important that we do have an infinite mindset, because we're existing to make the world better, and we're doing that through events. And when we look at the need to, let's say, prepare ourselves for this infinite game, we prepare differently when we're in an infinite mindset. Because when we're preparing ourselves for a finite game, that means there's going to be an end. That means we're not necessarily prepared for playing a longer game. So then that means that if we prepare ourselves for this longer game, then we need to equip ourselves better to get through the ups and downs, and to be able to be in a space that when we make a decision, that decision goes farther than just the event that we're playing. It would go farther than just the year in which we're planning, and it will go farther than our current role or our current companies, because it's all about the purpose of the game, and it's not about just the event. So that means that this purpose would be a greater cause, and it's not necessarily about the convention or the meeting or the conference or the summit. It's a bigger game. And when we think like this, we show up differently. That's the whole point. We play the game differently. We even handle our stressors differently, because we know we're playing this longer game. We're going to be innovative, and we're going to play with all of those that are here, because we have this big purpose and cause for this infinite game, because it has no end. If you are hearing me, what I'm saying is that if we're in this game of event planning and in the event industry, it's best to be in it for the long haul. A good example of this that Simon puts in his book, and it's really worthy of you reading it, is about Apple and BlackBerry, and how when Apple came to the market, they wanted to make sure that they were, quote, the pirates that empowered individuals to be creative. And that was their cause. That was what they wanted to set out to do. And they disrupted the marketplace with this. And before the iPhone, BlackBerry was the second largest cell phone operating system. And they had high performing, highly durable, very reliable products. And that made them an option in government and many companies. However, after Apple introduced their iPhone, basically BlackBerry's momentum was still high, but as iPhones became more popular, BlackBerry panicked. And I guess what Simon is trying to say is that BlackBerry ended up having a finite mindset, because they were more worried about themselves, about the competition, about how they would be placed, instead of worrying about the innovation that was happening in the industry and coming alongside that innovation. So instead, they decided to really do things differently and not stick to their infinite mindset and evolving in a way that aligned with their cause and their purpose. And because of that, they ended up pretty much sinking to their demise. And that just shows how, if we are not locked into our greater cause, our greater purpose, and if we lose sight of that and continue to just think about our competition and this particular event, and it's not necessarily connected to our larger purpose, we can lose sight, and then eventually that could not go well. It's all about being there for the long haul. And the question that we should really ask ourselves is if you're in it for the long haul, because then you're going to do everything that you have to do in order to ensure that you're staying in the game, including making changes to ensure that you can sustain in this game. So that was my thought for today. I can only hope that we make the tweaks that we need to in order to ensure that we're here for the long haul. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay on purpose.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button and tell us how much you enjoyed the show by leaving a message in the comments. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.